Lost and Found by Oliver Jeffers, read by Hello Readers. Hello, Penguin. Oh, bit itchy. Poor itchy penguin. Hello, readers. Why do I have so many clothes on today? Because our story takes place in a land, which is a continent, called Antarctica, and it is a freezing place. And in our story, there is a boy and a penguin. And we're going to learn a little bit about Antarctica if you stick around through the story. I hope you love Lost and Found. This is Antarctica, or the South Pole. It's extremely cold. That's the North Pole. You might know someone who lives there. Quick, let's go back to the South Pole. These are some of the animals that live in Antarctica. There's lots of different types of penguins. There's also whales and seals. In fact, lots of different types of seals. What an amazing place.
Let's follow these penguins to the story. Oh no, they've stopped to look at themselves.
Once there was a boy, and one day he found a penguin at his door. The boy didn't know where it had come from, but it began to follow him everywhere. The penguin looked sad, and the boy thought it must be lost. So the boy decided to help the penguin find its way home. He checked in the Lost and Found office, but no one was missing a penguin. He asked some birds if they knew where the penguin came from, but they ignored him. Some birds are like that. The boy asked his duck, but the duck floated away. He didn't know either. That night, the boy couldn't sleep for disappointment. He wanted to help the penguin, but he didn't know how. The next morning, he discovered that penguins come from the South Pole. But how could he get there? He ran down to the harbour and asked a big ship to take them to the South Pole. But his voice was much too small to be heard over the ship's horn. "Excuse me, can you take us to the South Pole, please?" Together, the boy decided he and the penguin would row to the South Pole. So the boy took his rowboat out and tested it for size and strength. He told stories to the penguin to help pass the time.
Once upon a time, there was a boy.
Then they packed everything they would need and pushed the rowboat out to sea. They rowed south for many days and nights. There was lots of time for stories, and the penguin listened to every one.
Did you hear the story about the penguin that went surfing? What about the penguin that went skiing? I'll tell you all those stories, penguin.
So the boy would always tell another. They floated through good weather and bad, when the waves were as big as mountains, until they came to the South Pole. The boy was delighted, but the penguin said nothing. Suddenly, it looked sad again as the boy helped it out of the boat. Then the boy said goodbye and floated away. When he looked back, the penguin was still there, but it looked sadder than ever. It felt strange for the boy to be on his own. There was no point telling stories now because there was no one to listen except the wind and the waves. Instead, he just thought. And the more he thought, the more he realized he had made a big mistake. The penguin hadn't been lost. It had just been lonely. Quickly, he turned the boat around and rowed back to the South Pole as fast as he could. At last, he reached the pole again. But where was the penguin? The boys searched and searched, but he was nowhere to be found. Sadly, the boys set off for home. But then the boy saw something in the water ahead of him. Closer and closer he got until he could see the penguin. And so the boy and his friend went home together, talking of wonderful things all the way.
Once there was a boy, and one day he found a penguin at his door.
Antarctica has an extremely cold, dry climate. It can get down to minus 30 degrees Celsius. Antarctica is the driest continent on the planet. Very few people live in Antarctica, mostly scientists and researchers. Antarctica is mostly ice. Penguins can't fly, but most of them are extremely good swimmers. Penguins eat krill, which is kind of like a prawn, and they also like fish. Penguins can drink salty water, and they're also excellent divers. And it's amazing that their feet don't freeze on the ice. I hope you liked today's story, Lost and Found. And please like and subscribe for more stories. I'll see you next time. Bye.